Okay.
We are live.
We are live. Hello and welcome to the Wisdom Factory. We, Mark and Heidi, have been broadcasting for more than 2 years now. And today we're continuing into our 4th season, which is all about various aspects of aging. Aging at any age, I should say, meaning that we are all aging, regardless of how old we are. We appreciate your comments and your feedback from your own life's perspective. Young or old, we listen.
Yeah, and to say about the comments today on our live streaming page, unfortunately, we don't have a live chat. So you can leave a comment underneath, but I won't be able to monitor it. But you can send us the Facebook message. There's a little button there, and I should be able to monitor it with the other computer. And if you watch from the Integral the Masterminding Integral Facebook group or from our Google Plus community, I should be able to monitor the comments there too.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And today we also invite you to participate in an after show chat in our Facebook group. We've found out how to do that.
Yeah, and we'll post it afterwards.
We'll post how to do
and just
that.
go to Masterminding Integral Aging Facebook and after the show, and you will find the links. Give me 5 minutes to do that after the show, and we come in here.
Yeah, we may have to repeat some of
and
this
please,
later.
follow us on Google Plus and also on Facebook. We need some more followers and likes and everything. Yeah, and some words about us. I'm Heidi Hörnlein, and I am very much interested in helping women to become visible, to overcome all the obstacles of our conditionings, of patriarchal, and we might talk about that later, and help you to come out as, for instance, this is my practice, to come out publicly and speak with you, and to lose all my perfectionism and what could go wrong. That was the learning curve.
Yeah.
And you are?
Oh, you want to ask me too?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. I'm Mark, and Heidi and I have been together now. Well, we've known each other now for 5 years, and it has been a remarkable 5 years. Before that, I was comfortably retired. But no longer. And we're busy doing all kinds of things like these broadcasts. I have a background in education, in drug and alcohol counseling, and all of these kind of things have added to, some of my skills in understanding development. And so here we are.
And we are in the Wisdom Factory because this is our contribution to the ongoing emergence of the world, by bringing together people who have experienced knowledge and wisdom to share with us all.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. And today is our 3rd episode in a weekly sequence of 20 episodes. Only during the Christmas time we won't broadcast, but it will go until April. We have 19 confirmed guests, and at the end we would like to do a panel discussion with many of them.
Yeah.
Today, our topic, do you want to continue?
Sure, I can read some of that. Yes, our topic today is integral life practice. And our conversation partner is Monika Frühwirth in Vienna. She's one of the early adapters of Ken Wilber's integral theory in the German-speaking countries. And she has a background as a translator, and she has, among other things, dedicated much time to bringing German language texts by Ken to those who otherwise wouldn't be able to read it. And she regularly published the print journal of the German Integral Forum, Integrales Forum, and she founded the Feminine Integral Consciousness Field, which is a self-organized group of women who tried to translate the theory into their everyday life practice. And I know that beyond all those official things, she's really a delightful person to talk to. And you listen up and you'll learn. Yeah, okay.
So welcome, Monika, to our talk tonight. And we are very happy to have you here because you are not only somebody who has really digested the theory, but who has also lived the practice, and you have a certain age, as we are doing all this in the context of aging. And we would like to know a little bit how this has helped you with aging. But for our viewers who might not really know what integral life practice is or what integral theory is, you might just give a very, very, very short introduction of what it is and how it has influenced, you know, how you came.
You got into it. Yeah. What happened that it appealed to you? Yeah.
All right. Heidi, Mark, thank you for this marvelous introduction. I feel like I'm 6 feet tall and not just 5'7". Nevertheless, well, where should I start out? In 2001, I was introduced to Ken Wilbur by Gerd Klostermann, and he was introduced to Ken Wilbur by Edith Zundel, who is one of the founders of integral work in Europe, in the German-speaking nations. At that time, it was a male-dominated organization, highly intellectual. So whoever was drawn to Ken Wilbur read his books and was just thrilled by what he found, and that happened to me too. And we started a list of conversations, and then Ken Wilbur came up with the idea of founding saloons, which mushroomed all over Europe. And whoever read his books was asked to join, to talk to other people about it, which is because being integral at this time, and maybe even now, is a rather lonely experience when you don't have others to meet and to talk about it. And
Actually,
this is
Yeah.
and that is why, yeah.
That happened to me, and that's why I'm living in Italy, and that's why I came over to Germany to all these conferences to meet some people who had read the same things and which you couldn't share with other people. They always looked only, oh, is that?
And even from the United States, I had to marry this woman in order to be close to somebody who spoke integral.
Well, my dears, I've been married for 50 years now, more than 51.
Wow.
And my husband, it sort of seeps into him, but he doesn't know much about integral, and we still like to be together. So I found it this year. I founded another group, because whenever something is not here, I develop it. And I founded the group called Integral 8.0, where, according to the book God 9.0, to get integrally competent people together. Now, what means integrally competent? First of all, you have to know that you are your interior and your exterior. You are an individual with a body, Mark, body, a body.
I prompted her.
A body that has measurements, your weight, your height, and you have your individual interior, your thoughts, your mind, your emotions, and you also have zones. Wilbur calls that quadrants, 4 quadrants. And your individual zone, there is the one that's the present now. And when you read after a couple of years what you wrote down, your diary, that is zone 2, because you now reflect what happened at that time. So when I talk to you now, I'm in zone 1. And when I listen to that conversation tomorrow, I'm already in zone 2, and I can think about, well, what blunders I made, and how stupid I looked, and how marvelous I was, etc. Okay. Now, these are the upper 2, the individual quadrants. And then the lower quadrants are relationships, the we. Wherever you are, have a we. You too have a we. In the group, we have a we. In the integral forum, we have a we. And this is one of the most difficult quadrants. And this is the quadrant where most tensions are and where you learn the most. You can sit in meditation, as you mentioned meditation before. You can sit in meditation and feel blissed. And when you come out of it and you meet your neighbor and you sort of feel like strangling him, then this is the learning process. This is where your exercise, where your practice is, where your actually daily practice is.
With your spouse. With your husband.
Oh, with my husband, I don't practice.
Me too.
He's exempt.
Is that the secret of 51 happy years together?
Right. He's exempt. And then, of course, the quadrant of society, which means where society is right now. We are now in the information age, and going back to agricultural societies, to industrial society, to modern, to postmodern, gives you a sort of perspective of how you yourself developed, what's in you, your not just your ancestors, but also what society provides for you. I mean, I couldn't talk to you if we didn't have all this marvelous technology.
Yeah.
So the integral depends on technology right now. Before that, you just sat in meditation, and maybe if you were lucky, you talked to other people. But being able to hold conferences, teleconferences, sort of accelerates the movement. You mentioned integral life practice and aging when we talked before.
Yeah, can I maybe connect this a little bit? What you were saying now about the 4 quadrants, this is called the 4 quadrants of reality. And whatever happens on Earth or in your life, it has location in all 4 quadrants. Right. Nothing is exempt. No quadrant is exempt. So when we have inner feelings and are like this is influencing my partner, it's influencing my body. And when we are in the group, then it's influencing also society. And so all the other quadrants are influencing. When I'm ill, that is influencing my inner feeling, or all these things. I think
the body, of course.
Yeah, no, and the body is the upper right quadrant.
The body.
Or if going to the lower left quadrant, when the community, there's something wrong in the community, this has an effect on the individuals of how I feel. At the end of how my, if I'm tight or not, how my body is, if I get ill by that, or at the end, it might change the system. So it might change the lower right quadrant, and so on. Just to make understand to people who don't know about integral, that it is all appearing at the same time and influence each other. We wouldn't be like this as we are today without technology, or our societies as they are now. We wouldn't be like today without the psychological development we had, and so on and so on. And out of this, then you can create practices for all parts of these realities. And I think we are going into this now, aren't we?
Well, you now have body, mind, and spirit. As another way of approaching integral life practice, which was formerly called integral transformational practice. And people got so ambitious to transform that nothing really came out of it. So Wilbur called it integral life practice because it will take all your life to practice. And you don't know about the result, but you may enjoy your life a lot more because mostly And one of the aspects is that you are in the now. You have several times during the day, you just try to remember, where am I? How is my body? What are my emotions? And then you sort of widen your attention to what really is. And this helps a lot. And this helps in particular when you get older. When you're younger, your body is something you take for granted. When you get older, repair and maintenance is an everyday job, just to keep fit. And being a cyborg myself, because you get this implanted and you get a new hip and you get new teeth, and your body isn't something you really rely on as much as you did before. And of course, as we all know, with very old age, your mind also drifts away, so you can't rely on your mind anymore. Now, what do you rely on? Would you know what I would rely on? What do you rely on?
Well, I'm so relatively young, those are not questions I'm concerned about. But no, I think we're close to the same age, Monika. You know, there's a goodness I rely on, you know. You talked about, I mean, I have some physical problems. They're not really tremendous or anything of the sort. And I go out and haul wood every day and so forth and so on. But and when it comes to the mental business, you know, I think we all worry about a decline in our cognitive capacities. I am heartened, however, to understand that even that is part of development.
Right.
My mother spent her last decade impaired, and towards the end of her life, she'd made it just past 100. I went to visit her one day, and she looked at me, and she said, "Go to hell." You know, something she would never have said, you know, earlier in her life, even if she felt it. And she probably did feel it at some time, but she was, you know, constrained, constricted by role and expectation and so forth. And she actually, in a sense, needed that dementia to relax and finally be.
Are you sure? Are you sure it was dementia? Or maybe it was just...
I beg your pardon.
But yeah, dementia is something in the circle of my friends is now starting up, and it really is depressing everybody. But on the other hand, you shouldn't take it personally, because you get so old. Finally, it's a way of letting go of things. So of course, it's a better practice to let go before you get dement and to die before you die, as the Buddhists say. I wouldn't know, because last year my throat chakra opened. I wouldn't say go to hell, but because
it's okay, just for practice.
It's not my style.
Just for practice.
It's not my style. But in this group, we started in January. Everybody is sort of wears less of a mask and is really him or herself. And this is very comforting for everybody. We really enjoy being together without all the pretensions and conditioning. Of course, it's still there. Of course it's still there. But still, we know that we can get much closer to each other and enjoy that. Because this is something, I think it's a human condition to try to balance distance and closeness. Sure. I am an only child, so I've always wanted to be part of a gang, of a member of a gang, like the Peanuts. but most of my friends were books at that time. So this is what my approach to Wilbur. He writing books, I reading books, and I understand, and translating him, I understood more, or I got deeper into his words as if you just read the book. When you translate something, and Michael Habecker is one of the best translators we have for the integral, and he does a tremendous job. And he's a musician, by the way. And to him, reading Wilbur is like listening to Bach. Which is because Bach is a very spiritual composer. But he was also very much down to earth. He had children behind him while he was composing. And of course, Bach has these cycles. And when you read Wilbur, you notice that he again and again and again comes back to the same until it finally sinks in. Because once you read a book, it's fine. But if you read a second time, it sinks in. And if you read it a third time, then you really feel it. Oh, and there we are with feeling. As I mentioned, the highly intellectual male members of the integral finally had to, and as you mentioned, yes, I founded the female integral field because women have a different approach to the integral. And I notice I'm touching my heart now. It's love. It's love. It's Eros. Now, one of my favorite topics for the last couple of months. Eros is what gets evolution going, also the evolution of consciousness. And you can become a slave of Eros, or you become a fighter, a warrior, a spy. But without Eros, we wouldn't have our group, we wouldn't have the integral, we'd just be on beige, as you mentioned before, just doing our everyday things and being bored and being empty and not knowing why.
Could you explain what you mean by Eros? It probably doesn't mean erotic or something.
Well, it doesn't exclude erotic, let's put it this way.
Okay.
Eros is, well, another word is love, but it's a kind of love that is ruthless. It's an energy, a cosmic energy that is ruthless. He doesn't care about your conditioning. And in my opinion, he picks people as channels for lightening up. And you notice it, you feel it in somebody if Eros is active in him or her. It's a much brighter aliveness. It's really, they call it charisma, but it's not real. That's not really it. But it's part of it. Eros, agape, which means compassion for everybody. Feelings, which are feelings that don't make us zombies, that just go around and try to grab something or hold on to something. It's if you want to develop compassion for other people, you have to use your mind. You have to take a perspective. Empathy can only develop in a feeling person, but not a person that doesn't use his or her mind. This is something that will probably be talked about in the 2070 conference or Congress of the Integral Forum, because now finally feeling and leadership are connected. And this is an important step, in my opinion, to acknowledge that a feeling person is not a stupid person or somebody who just tumbles along. And so a feeling person is a really smart person. And in this group in Vienna, we finally acknowledge our intuition. And this is something that is very suspicious, because this is the magic thinking, which isn't. And being integral, and now we get to another aspect, being integral means that you transcend and include all your emotional and your development, which is color-coded in the integral system, but I won't start with colors because people really get fixed on colors. It is just a getting wider and wider and wider consciousness of what is.
Absolutely. And in some way, many of us get that unconsciously in some way. You know, I remember when I was 40, or when I began to read the books of Ken Wilbur, it was about 20 years ago, then I realized, oh, yeah, I'm here. And I don't know how I arrived here. So we are talking about conscious aging, conscious growing up. This is another step when you begin to realize that you can do something, you know, to grow up yourself. And aging is, when we understand it in this way, a growing up process, you know.
It's part of growing up.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
All right.
Oh, well.
Maybe I've interrupted you now with my...
No, but I'm waiting for your questions.
Yeah, my questions... I know Monika quite well, so you don't know her so well, so I ask you.
Yeah, well, I'm curious about how this has changed for you over the years. I mean, you didn't study Wilbur for a year or two and then get to a place and stay there for 10, 15, 20 years. I'm sure, you know, how has this integral life practice, you know, developed and expanded in you? What were some of the milestones? What were some of the ahas? You know, what's different now?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One of the important parts and steps in integral life practice is shadow work. So, which means that all the unpleasant things you don't like in yourself, you sort of push down or put into a bag, and you carry that bag all your life. Shadow work has existed before Wilbur, but now Wilbur developed a system, or the Integral Institute developed a system how to do it really efficiently in a rather short time. You can do it by yourself, you can do it with a partner, and doing shadow work gives you a lot of energy, which is very important in old age or in aging, because you need sources of energy. You sort of feel depleted much sooner, and once you integrate your shadows, which you usually see in other people much better, whatever and one of the really simple ways is whatever irritates you, that's a shadow that you own. So when you acknowledge it, you can accept it, and this is what I did for many years in the groups as well. And we still do it because it never ends, and the older you get and the more sophisticated you get, the more sophisticated your shadows get.
Bigger and better shadows. Okay.
Yeah, and it has much more effect now on others. So what you really have to learn is how do you influence people without knowing it. This is an important part, I feel now for myself.
So you want to know what you are doing to avoid to influence them in a way you don't want to. Is it?
Well, it's not that, for example, there is one of a guru who sort of claimed that he didn't know what effect he had on women. And that's not true, because he now is in therapy and he probably learns what effect he has. But I always try, only if I tease people, and I'm a great teaser now, because I try to tease the hero out of everybody, so they can transcend their conditioning and can feed their demons and enjoy their life much more. This is what I do now. I'm not a therapist. I'm just myself whenever I appear.
Sounds like somebody that 250 years ago might have been burned as a witch.
I know. What is a witch? A witch is a self-conscious woman.
Yes.
And was, let's say. These were women who had great knowledge in childbirth, in plants, and of course there were a competition for the doctors. So it was much easier to burn them than to really acknowledge them.
Yeah, and they had also intuition, which then went really abolished as a means of knowing, no? In the how do you say, in the thinking era of human, when the thoughts,
the age of reason,
and was it.
Reason.
When it was so overvalued, and all the intuition part, the more feminine part of knowing, were denigrated.
Well, there is a book that has the title "Women Who Read Are Dangerous." and
it's still in the world. There are still women who cannot have education, who cannot go to school. You know, so
and this is why they are kept from going to school and learning. And this is why education is one of the main topics in the Integral Forum and also in the salons. And well, in Austria, we still are wrangling with our education system. Since I've grown up, it's always been a topic of great consideration. And well, we are still working on it, as you know.
But you're speaking of it in terms of education for boys as opposed to education for girls. That still is a strong theme in Austria.
Not really. We have a very gender equality here.
Okay.
In particular, political correctness. So nobody would ever say now, but this may change, and maybe we won't be as politically correct anymore in a couple of years. But I now have three grandchildren. And this is the first time I learned how difficult it is to become a man. It's much easier to become a woman. Because women have their mothers, either they hate them or they just copy them. But men, it's much more difficult. And my grandson, he is now at the frontier in the military, guarding Austrian frontiers. And he's all lonely. He's lonely, and he's really, well, learning how to grow up, how to be a man. And my heart goes out to him because I'm glad.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for noticing.
Which means I really appreciate men. And we had this topic of sex also in our group, and I don't agree with feminists or lesbian feminists that every sexual act is a rape. I'm a hetero, and if somebody can touch your soul when you are intimate, That's really something every woman would want to experience. And penetration is just bliss in such a situation. If your souls don't touch, if you just masturbate or have pornos, that's not real sex. Sex is something, and Wilbur wrote a meditation about sex in the 3 bodies, which means your body, your body, your psyche, and your spiritual, yourself. And this is something I would really advise everybody to read. We have it on our homepage, and also the Integral Forum probably has it on their homepage. Sex in the 3 bodies. That's how men and women were planned by evolution to be together, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And it's something Eros enables you to do. Which now brings me back to Eros, of course. Okay, Mark, now I guess you look much brighter now than before. You really look very
I don't know, somebody mentioned sex and I woke up.
I felt so, yeah.
Back to the topic, when we growing older, we shouldn't have sex, no? Coming to the expectations of society and what new ways we need of thinking we need to have a healthy life in older age, where sex can be included, no?
Yeah, well, it's not a must.
No, but it's not a must, but it is a can. And we were listening to a series a year ago of it was, I think, 15 people it was a teleconference series, and there was not a word about sex.
Oh yeah, a whole aging conference with all these experts. No mention of sex.
And that's we want to do differently. We will have
people who are really knowledgeable.
Yeah, in January it will be about Tantra.
Well, Tantra isn't just sex. Tantra is the way you experience life. I mean, Tantra is looking at the plant and feeling the plant. And so it's not Tantra all the time.
I know,
workshops.
I know. But at least bring in one of these no words, as we are doing now.
Well, Tantra is more than sex. That's
sure, absolutely.
A lot more.
So tell us a little bit.
What?
About Tantra.
Or about sex, whichever. Yeah.
No, to me, a tantric experience of life is something that really makes you alive every moment. When you breathe in, well, it doesn't have to be ecstasy, but it can be ecstasy, just breathing in. When you take a sip of water, it can be ecstasy. So a tantric way of life is something that really makes you alive. And of course, then you get dangerous for other people. And because in that age, you shouldn't be that much alive. No. And you have to be wise, which I'm, of course, trying to be. And you have to be considerate, which I'm most of the time. But being alive, strangely enough, is in our times when people just sit in the subway and stare in front of them, or they go on they communicate, of course. Sometimes you feel that they are not alive. And when you look at them and you smile, or just look at them, then all of a sudden they sort of jerk and what is that woman? Is she crazy, or what is she? And then when you just act normal, then you relax again. But being very much alive is dangerous to people. So you sort of wear a mask, and you are calm, and you are reserved.
Yeah, that's exactly. You have to be old, and you have to need help, and allow others to dominate you, you know, as they do here in these old people homes. The people go in and have still their mind all right, and after 4 or 6 weeks, they are sort of gone because there is no stimulation anymore for the mind. But we do all for your body, no? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is one of the ideas we also with this year's try to tell people that it must not be like this, and that we need to collaborate in some way to get out the notion that we can be different.
And we have the opportunity to be different because we're going to be around for decades yet. And they have to deal with us. And it'd be much better if we told them what to do, what we needed, what we wanted, rather than let them try to figure it out. And we get solid and nasty.
Once you are past 80, you sort of tend to become invisible. Once you have gray hair or white hair, you tend to be invisible. You can notice it when you go to a restaurant and some younger women come in. They are maybe served first or noticed much earlier than you. Not me, because nobody... I'm present, so
good.
So that opens another question. How can we learn with the practice to be present?
Breathing is very important. To be present,
yeah, okay.
You have to be in control of your breath.
I'm a devil's advocate. I'm breathing all the time. So what do you mean?
You have to be aware of how your breath flows through your body, how the energy circles in your body. And your shoulders, when you breathe correctly, or when you breathe the way you are meant to breathe, your shoulders will relax, your eyes will brighten up, and your voice will get much louder, and you say, Oba! Service.
Yeah, I wanted at this point announce my services as a voice teacher in breathing.
Right.
To speak up.
Yeah.
So that is a way, really, of being alive.
Do you still practice that? Because I found
not really very much, but I still know how to teach it.
Yeah, but it's a shame because I found it very, very effective what you did with us in our women's group then. At the time.
Yeah. Maybe there comes the time I will do that again. At the moment, it's not. I mean, it's still there. It's still, and I'm very aware of my breath and of my body and where the breath goes. But I don't sing anymore in the way I did before. Little concerts, but not really big things. But I mean, that is part of being visible when you have a voice. You know,
right.
If I speak like this, and I come in the restaurant.
Well, it's usually your throat, and most of the women, even on our television programs, terrible. They just have their throat all. It's terrible and much too high, or even in a parliament.
Yeah,
you can teach that. Yeah.
This is then they press the voice through this channel because it's closed. It's not engaging the whole body.
Hillary Clinton did that.
Oh yeah, she did.
Oh, yeah.
But everybody, normally women, when they get nervous, they get higher and higher and higher and higher, and the body
when
goes
I speak
away.
English, my voice is much higher than when I speak German.
Oh yeah.
That makes sense. Sure.
Because it's in the head.
Okay. So it is really, this can be a life practice. To sing, and there are studies about older people that singing is one of the best practices you can do. You must not be perfect. You must not go and do concerts, but just sing in the shower, sing everywhere.
You mean you don't have to do these things?
You don't have. Yeah, I'm always good that I have a corrector here nearby.
But again, when do you really breathe? When you sing? When you have an orgasm? These are
When you run?
when you run. Yeah, well, you get out of breath.
Yeah. But afterwards you breathe very deeply and you feel it. Yeah.
So your breath is the key to most of your tantric experiences.
Yeah. Very good.
Well, is there anything else I can tell you about integral or being integral or aging integrally?
It's about you, about how do you age?
I don't age.
That's the most easy response. Good.
There are days when you look into the mirror and you say, oh, that's me. And then you look into inside of yourself and say, oh, that's me. And I have always had a certain kind of humor, and that helps also a lot. And I now found when you put your fingers here and, yeah, exactly, Mark, then your smile starts and then your whole being lifts up.
So also the meridian points, no?
Yeah.
The tapping points.
I don't know the tapping points, right. So this is what makes, but of course my mother was also very young looking even when she died. And maybe it's the genes, so I'm lucky compared to others. And I'm rather tall, so this helps as well.
Live long, die young. All right.
That's the question, yeah.
If we understand that correctly.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Live long, die young, yes.
Oh.
Okay, what are we doing to keep young? Or to not getting older or getting consciously older?
Well, for one thing, we have this website and we have this.
By the way, yeah.
This is Facebook group, you know.
We have the Facebook group where we collect articles and talk with people. Here's the Facebook guy. And this is Masterminding Integral Aging. Then we have the website, the Wisdom Factory, which is now broadcasting this these events. But we have also, it's being created, an extra website which is called integralaging.com, and aging written with AGEING. So because there are two ways of writing it. So who wants to subscribe and get the newsletters for that, it would be very nice. And like us and comments. Yeah.
I think, just to be fair, we should ask Monika, is there a place people can go to learn about you?
And I wanted you also to send me the links for the books you recommended, and I will put it in your website, in the page where it will stay for the whole time. And tomorrow Mark will do the timestamps, so everybody can see what we were talking about and doesn't have to rewind the whole thing if they are interested in a certain part.
You see, I have the privilege of finally being a private person, which is, so our group is closed and we are not, we have a website, but it's still just for our own practice. So you can hardly find me.
Go to Vienna and find Monika Frühwirth.
Of course, I'm still listed in the Integral Forum Salon, my email address. But actually, I prefer much more to be a private person now. It's this age group where you finally have different goals.
Yeah.
If you still want to have a goal.
What is your goal?
Myself. I mean, S in capital letters, S spirit. So my goal is to become more and more aware of how spirit works through my authentic self. And the importance is authentic. So I don't hide behind a mask anymore, and I'm not ashamed of sounding strange sometimes. I even enjoy it, actually. And I just like to shock people a little out of their complacency. And but I'm still a very private person.
Okay. So if people would like to learn something by you, from you, what could they do? Just send them to the Wilbur books. I, by the way, have put the links in your page in our thewisdomfactory.net. When you / Monika Frühwirth, you will find the links to Integral Life Practice. I have it in German.
Well, if people really try hard to find me, they can find me.
Okay.
But
if they want to be inspired by you and know the recipe.
The Integrale Forum, and those privileged to meet me regularly, I all love them. They are just great, really great beings. And I'm looking forward to meeting them this month and every month. And actually this group was handpicked. So I only took people who were integrally competent, because I wanted to talk in a language where everybody knows what a state is, what a structure is, and that it's rather that experiencing a state is just a grace, a gift, but building a structure out of these experiences is hard work.
Yeah.
We are working on it.
Right. Now, if you could just
I love you.
if you could just have these meetings online, and you could invite special people to join you.
Yeah, this is the real advantage when you are in a big city where you have people in real place. We don't have anybody around us where we could create such a group. So we are dependent on internet, and we are very grateful to have you today and to have all the other people coming. Next week is Hans Parge, and he will talk about wellness and also about being young, but also, as far as I know, about structures, how to live in a different way when we are older. Yeah. Oh, by the way, we are looking for people who want to live with us here in Italy when they
old people.
Yeah, because we have this big house and it's all the time empty, and we have to pay ever more taxes for that. And you know, it's useless. Sort of. We are living 50 square meters here, and the other 350 are somewhere.
So people to take vacations at your house, or just
vacations, or be a year here, or 2 years, or whatever, you know. So maybe even
someone who can prune olive trees, please. Yeah.
Oh, the olive trees. How I love it.
Yeah, just, you know, or even on long terms, what I would really love, younger people who would take over the land, you know, and would stay here. And I have no erben, people, nobody, no children. So I don't know who to give that. Okay. So I really would love to have people who are really interested and have this mind, this different mind, not an egocentric mind, but really want to create out of this something, and then sooner or later they will have it, you know, something like that. So we are thinking in this direction, because it's really useless to have that otherwise. And you cannot sell it for a reasonable price, not at this moment, and not in Italy now, where the
earthquakes.
Also, one part of the house is completely earthquake safe, but you know, it's not a good moment for selling for a good price. And then where would we go, you know?
All right.
Someplace cold.
He came from Florida, and he was not very excited to be in Italy, where the winter can be not nice. There can be some nice days in between, but you know, it can be very cold.
Never had to wear a shirt like this in Florida. No.
Watch out! The cat is moving behind you. But
okay.
Okay, at this point, I would say, Monika, I thank you very much. And all the viewers, we hope that next time we will have another possibility to interact with us, because it's so nice to have people's questions and comments, which was before with Google Hangouts. us. It was
Yeah.
so good, and now nothing works anymore.
Whoa.
So we have to find workarounds to make that happen again.
And the after show chat.
After show chat in the Facebook and Masterminding Integral. I will set it up now, and we will be there in about 10 minutes.
Okay, I'm really dumb and slow, so tell me simply, how would I get into this chat, ma'am?
You go to Facebook,
Okay,
and there you look into, you put in the search bar, Masterminding Integral Aging, and there should come up this page. And it is a group, but you can also, I think you can comment only when you're part of the group, but
Yeah.
you can see it. And there is also a link then to come into the video room. There will be 2 links. One is for watching, and the other is coming into the participating live, and
Yeah.
we talk about it.
Okay.
Okay. See you then. See you there. And thank you for viewing.
Thanks so much,
for
Monika.
talking. It was a
Thank you, Mark.
delightful chat.
Yeah, okay.
Enjoyed it very much.
Okay. Okay.